counterparts in the developed countries. According to Sachs, every decade the world must provide food, clothing, and shelter for 200 million more people, a population greater than that of all of North America. Supporters of modern agriculture argue that to alleviate hunger, new technological advances should be developed to produce more food at a faster rate to meet the needs of all population. Nevertheless, there is enough scientific evidence that predicts that modern agriculture will not solve the real problem of hunger. Instead, it will create permanent environmental damage. The more feasible solution, although controversial, is linked to population control. During the history of humanity, two major events have had the deepest impact in the growth of population. These two events are known as the agricultural and industrial revolutions. According to the New Internationalist, before the development of agriculture in around 10,000 BCE, the world is believed to have had a population of around 1 million. Agriculture made possible more availability of food to feed people with certainty, without less exposure to danger as opposed to hunting. And it also helped nomad societies to settle with a sedentary lifestyle. With the pass of the time, during the 16th century, the large expeditions to the Americas made possible the introduction of exotic crops that contributed to the variety of food consumed in the European and Asian continents. And later, towards the end of the 18th century, the Industrial Revolution in Europe helped raise the life expectancy, especially of children, which directly influenced the growth of population. According to the New Internationalist, Europe's population doubled to almost 200 million during the 18th century, and doubled again during the 19th century, thanks to the improved living conditions and healthcare. Additional to both major events, the Green Revolution happened during the 1950s, and with it brought the use of fertilizers, insecticides, the hybridization of corn, among others. The combination of these major events made possible the modern agriculture we know today, aiming to maximize the production of the land to feed a growing population. The world is divided according to its economic development into two zones: developed or industrial nations on one side, and developing or pre-industrial nations on the other side. Developed nations such as the United States, Western Europe, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are industrialized because they possess a large-scale mechanized agriculture, needing less of their inhabitants to work the land. Instead, the vast amount of them specializes in other areas such as science and arts. For the most part, these nations offer a high-quality lifestyle, where the basics such as food, healthcare, and shelter are met. Most families live in urban areas and have in average 2 children, since women are encouraged to seek careers and to postpone getting married and bearing children. On the contrary, developing nations such as most in South America, Africa, and Asia are pre-industrial because they depend greatly on a less mechanized agriculture, as a means of production, which is seen more as a way for subsistence. Here, more hands are needed to work the land. Therefore, it is more convenient for families to be large, which explains the larger number of children born in a family. Education is not a priority, and shelter, food, and healthcare are not guaranteed to meet the needs of all. Couple of keywords to understand the concept of demographic transition are birth and death rate. According to Science Scope, birth rate refers to average annual number of live births per 1,000 inhabitants of a certain geographic area, while the death rate refers to the average annual number of deaths per 1,000 inhabitants of a certain geographic area. According to the same publication, demographic transition of human population is linked to economic development of a country from pre-industrial to an industrial economy. This demographic transition consists of 4 stages. The stage 1 is linked to high birth rate and high death rate, characteristic of pre-industrial nations where food is limited and shelter and healthcare access is poor. In the stage 2, high birth rate and low death rate are characteristic of pre-industrial nations that are providing a better healthcare system to its population. In the stage 3, low birth rate is encouraged by governmental programs or people become more conscious about the depleting resources and the use of contraception is widely accepted and used. In stage 4, nations have reached a balance between birth rates and death rates. According to Science Scope, most economically developed countries, such as in Western Europe and North America, are now in stage 4, while most developing countries, those containing the most people, are in stages 2 or 3. Developed nations feed their population and share their surplus with the developing nations through the crops obtained with the help of their modern agriculture. Theirs is a highly developed activity, extensively mechanized to produce and distribute food. Other characteristics of it are the extensive use of fertilizers, insecticides, and herbicides, the hybridization of corn, complex irrigation systems, and high-yielding rice and wheat seeds. Among the main limitations it faces are the access of water, land, and energy. In general, agriculture needs space, and most of the cultivable fields are already in use for growing crops or had already been urbanized. The remaining space to be used consists on the promising rainforests. Nevertheless, the soil of the rainforest is not ideal for agriculture. According to Sachs, tropical soils are not fertile. They are extremely low in plant nutrient substances and organic matter. Additionally, he stated that removal of the trees exposes the soil to rapid leaching, and both mineral nutrients and organic matter are rapidly depleted. On the other hand, regarding the use of water, when there is not enough rainfall, relying on intensive irrigation systems must be done, which at the same time depletes the water sources around the world at a faster pace. Modern agriculture also requires an intensive use of energy in the form of electricity or diesel, which is made possible by the exploitation of the non-renewable fossil fuels. The energy is needed to move tractors, irrigate fields, and produce chemical fertilizers, just to name a few examples. There are 5 main negative effects of modern agriculture. The first effect is a threat the biodiversity of the land suffers when it's being cleared for pasture or agriculture. The second effect is that too many tractors lead to erosion of the soil and reduces the capacity of the land to renovate itself. The third effect is the overuse of chemical pesticides and herbicides that contaminate crops which are eaten by the population, possibly linking diseases such as thyroid dysfunction to the ingestion of pesticides. The fourth effect is the overuse of the chemical fertilizer nitrogen that has a very contaminated surface water and groundwater, affecting fishes and other forms of aquatic life. Additionally, according to Prasad, fertilizer nitrogen accounts for 18% of the total anthropogenic nitrous oxide emission in the world. As well, other toxic emissions occur because of clearing the land during the production stage. The best solution to stop hunger is by focusing on the root of the problem, which is overpopulation. Therefore, the main proposed solution in this paper is population control